Currently it's winter time. I have always preferred the winter weather. I love that special feeling you would get from cuddling up inside of your blanket on those long cold nights. I would also spend hours on end just walking around in the snow. I like how the snow would cool the night air and it would just make me feel excited for some reason. I do love the snow, but there's one thing I love even more than snow: the rain. I've always been an introvert, isolated sort of person. The rain was like the nursery rhyme. You know, the one that goes like, "Rain, rain, go away, come back another day." But instead of the rain going away, it made the people go away. It's the only time you can walk around and there wouldn't be a lot of people about. I swear most people these days are like cats because no one likes getting wet. But it suits me fine because I have always loved living a solitary life. God truly did create the heavens and earth. He uses everything for our benefit. Rainfall is very important for the survival of plants and animals and feeding the world. It allows those in places of drought a chance to have a drink. It's also very therapeutic, like hearing the rain bounce off your tent while you are trying to go to sleep. But my most favorite place to be when it's raining is inside of my car. My name is Matt and I drive an old Ford Expedition 1997 model. So anyway, just recently it has been non-stop raining for the last few days. And I would always find a nice spot to park up and watch the rain as it hit the windows on my car. But after what happened on this rainy night was about to change everything for me. So I was driving down Blue Ridge Parkway. The parkway, which is America's longest linear park, runs for 469 miles through 29 Virginia and North Carolina counties, linking Shenandoah National Park to Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It truly is beautiful. Noted for its scenic beauty. If you've never seen it, you should go because it's something everybody should see once. Anyway, it wasn't long before day turned into night. Now raining really hard. And ignoring the weather conditions, I continued driving en route. It really looked like a completely different place at night, surrounded by dark woods and steep rocky mountains below around every corner. It was quite a dangerous place to drive on at night, especially if you wasn't familiar with it. So I was driving en route when I noticed somebody stood up next to a bench. I wasn't going to stop, but at this point the rain was coming down really hard and fast. Plus he wasn't a hitchhiker. He was just stood there. I pulled over to him, winding my window down a bit, and asked him if he was okay. He just stood there in the rain with his hood up, staring near to the ground. I shouted to him, "Do you want me to give you a ride somewhere?" To me it wasn't weird that he was stood in the pouring rain. Like I said, I love walking and driving in the rain. What bothered me was he didn't seem to even acknowledge me at all. So after shouting him many times, I winded my window back up. I then watched the man through my side view mirror. As I drove off, the man never moved an inch. Little did I know stopping for him would end up being my biggest mistake. So I continued driving for about 10 miles. When I decided to pull up again in a lay-by, I then thought I would put on the car radio and listen to it while I have a little nap. I woke up and lifted up my head and was startled by what I saw in front of me. In front of me was the same man I had stopped for 10 miles back. I was puzzled. How did he get here so fast? Why was he stood in front of my car? I opened my car door slightly and asked him what was the matter. He didn't answer me again. He just stood there in the rain with his hood up, staring near to the ground. I was getting annoyed with him. I shouted at him, "Can you move out of the way, please, sir?" He never moved an inch. I immediately reversed my car and drove off. I then told myself that I wasn't going to stop for a while. The man had already annoyed me. And to be honest, he kind of freaked me out a little. So I drove past every lay-by I saw. I had been driving for about 2 hours when my car began slowing down. I was out of gas. Luckily I managed to pull my car safely away from the middle of the road, now banging my steering wheel in frustration. I remembered I had put a jerry can with a little bit of gas in my trunk earlier that day. So I got out my car about to get the gas from the trunk, when I saw the same man again next to my trunk. This time I was outside of my car. Only 4 feet away from him I spoke to him. "Hey, why are you following me?" He never moved an inch. The man was very intimidating and it was a very dark night outside. It was still raining and I was in the middle of nowhere on my own. I admit he was scary. So scared I went back to my car and grabbed the jerry can from the trunk through my back seat. I thought to myself, he didn't move, so I should be able to fill up my car with gas and be on my way. So frightened I quickly opened my fuel cap and began filling up my car. My eyes never left the man once. I used what little I had left. I ran to open my car door, making sure to lock it behind me. I sat in the driver's seat hoping it would be enough gas to see through to the nearest gas station. There were plenty of stations, but some of them were closed past 12 o'clock. So I was hoping to make it to the 24-hour gas station called Exxon. I still had no idea why the man was still following me. Watching him as I pulled off, he didn't move once. I just couldn't work out why he was following me. He didn't even have a car. How does he keep appearing near me? So I made the decision I was going to head to Exxon. So I had enough gas to finish my journey home. It never stopped raining all night. When all of a sudden the rain seemed to intensify. It was now coming down really fast and hard. Even the windshield wipers wasn't helping. When out of nowhere the same man that had followed me all night appeared in front of me. I quickly swerved to avoid hitting him. I went over a small cliff. I thought I was a goner. Luckily I was still alive. My leg was badly hurt, but I couldn't believe I had survived. So now, with an injured leg and the car horn still going off, I managed to crawl out of my car. The car set on fire. I knew I could not move far. My leg was badly hurt. I really thought I was going to die. Then a miracle happened. Somebody driving past saw me. I was very lucky because I had been driving for hours and hadn't seen any cars about. Plus it was very dark and the rain was still coming down hard. But regardless of circumstances, a man saw me. He immediately ran towards me. I shouted to him my leg was injured. So he picked me up by my arm and helped me get away from the car. All of a sudden my car blew up. I couldn't believe it. That could have been me. The man rang 911. And it wasn't long before the ambulance, the fire brigade and the police had all shown up. And just like a cliché movie, I was sat at the back of the ambulance. They put me on a hospital gurney. I thanked the man that saved my life, and I waited for a few minutes while the paramedics or EMTs spoke to the police. I looked down at my car, now burned to a crisp. And I saw the man that had followed me all night. And that caused me to lose control and go off the cliff. He was just stood there, in the rain with his hood up, staring near to the ground. No one else seemed to be able to see him. Only me. And after a night of constant rain, it finally stopped. It stopped that quick. It was as if somebody just turned off a tap. And just like that, the man was gone. Some days later, I thought the whole occurrence was weird. So I thought I would see if somebody else might have experienced anything similar. So I began browsing the internet. I was in shock. There were at least 100 cases about the same man. As I scrolled down the page, I couldn't believe how many people had encountered him. Reading through forums, I read man causes car crash. Strange man chases me down Blue Ridge Parkway. The man was just stood there. Then I read something that said, the man in the rain. I quickly clicked on it. It read, I was en route down Blue Ridge Parkway when I kept noticing a man stood in the pouring rain with an hoodie on. He didn't move at all. He just looked down at the floor. He followed me everywhere I went. I saw him in front of me, and he made me lose control of my car. I was lucky that I had a couple of airbags in my car because I went straight into a tree. I luckily survived. It all of a sudden stopped raining. I never saw the man that night after that. I'm writing this in hope that I can help somebody else who doesn't know what happens next. If you've experienced this, and you are reading this, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but it isn't over. If you have never been to Blue Ridge Parkway, and he hasn't seen you, you're safe. See, that's where he has to first see you. After that he can come for you anywhere. As long as it's raining he can come for you. No one dies the first time he sees you. If you're reading this, the only warning I can give you now is don't go out when it's raining. I know I've tried. I wanted to know if it was true. So one day when it started to rain, I left my back door open, and I walked up my street. I immediately saw him in the distance. I ran back home. That's the only place he can't get you in the rain. When you're in a house for some reason, that's why I'm still alive. Because I never go far away from a house. Don't be fooled though, he can get you if you're in a car. So if you're at somebody's house, make sure you can stay the night if it's raining. I wish anybody reading this my best wishes. Remember, the man in the rain is no joke.